My name is Margaret Brown. I am 68 years old and I live in Houston, Texas. Before I tell you what happened to me, the scariest day of my life, I want you to do me a little favor. Please subscribe, like this story, and click on the notification button so you don't miss the next chapters, because trust me, what I am about to share with you is something you will never forget. And let me know in the comments which part of the country you are watching from, because I really want to know how far my little story will travel. Now let me take you straight into the moment where my heart almost stopped beating. I had crawled quietly into the back seat of my son David's car. It was his 40th birthday, and I wanted to surprise him with the gift I had saved up for months to buy. I smiled as I clutched the small wrapped box in my hands, thinking about how shocked and happy he would be when he saw me. The engine started and my son got in. But to my horror, he wasn't alone. Someone else slipped into the front passenger seat. A woman's voice whispered in the dark, "Your pathetic mother won't be a problem much longer." My blood froze. I could barely breathe. My son didn't say a word right away, but then he laughed low and cold. And when I leaned forward just enough to see, I couldn't believe my eyes. The person sitting next to him was someone I knew very well. At that moment, I felt like the earth beneath me had opened. But let me take you back to how it all began, so you can understand why this night changed everything in my life. Earlier that morning, I had woken up excited. Birthdays were always special in our family. I raised David and his younger sister, Anna, all on my own after my husband passed away years ago. Life had not been easy, but I always believed in showing love through small surprises. That's why I thought hiding in his car with a gift would make him laugh and feel loved. I remember the sun shining so brightly that day. The air was cool, and the neighborhood kids were playing with water balloons. I baked David's favorite cake, chocolate with caramel layers, though I knew he had a busy day and might not even come by to eat it. Still, I was determined. Around noon, I went to the store to buy the gift, a gold wristwatch. It wasn't cheap. I had been putting away a little money every week from my pension just to buy it. The shopkeeper smiled at me when I paid in cash and said, "Ma'am, whoever gets this gift is a lucky man." I chuckled, holding the box close to my chest. "That's my son," I told him proudly. Little did I know that same son would later climb into the car with someone who wanted me gone forever. As the day went by, I couldn't stop planning the surprise. I called Anna to check if she was coming over. She said she was stuck at work, but would try to make it later. That was fine. My focus was on David. Around evening, I made my move. I had watched David park his car across the street from my house earlier. He usually left his car unlocked, bad habit. But tonight, that bad habit worked in my favor. I sneaked out with the cake box in one hand and the watch box in the other. The cake was too big to hide, so I left it on the kitchen counter. But the watch? Oh, that I tucked inside my bag. Then, with my knees cracking a little, I lowered myself into the back seat of his car and crouched low. I felt silly but also excited. "Wait till he sees me," I whispered to myself. "This will be a birthday he won't forget." Minutes passed. The street grew darker. The sound of crickets filled the air. Then headlights flashed, and my son appeared. The moment his car door opened, my heart skipped. But before I could reveal myself, another door opened. That was when she got in. I recognized her perfume before I saw her face. Lavender. Strong and sharp. And then her voice, like poison dripping from her tongue, cut through the silence. "Your pathetic mother won't be a problem much longer." I froze, my hands clutching the gift box so tightly that the edges dug into my palm. David chuckled softly. "You think so?" he asked her. "Yes," she replied. "After tonight, she'll never bother us again." I leaned forward just a bit, and that was when I saw who it was. The woman sitting next to my son was none other than. The woman sitting next to my son was Anna, my daughter. Yes, Anna. My own flesh and blood. I nearly screamed, but I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep quiet. My mind couldn't process what I was seeing. Anna, the sweet girl who always told me, "Mama, don't worry, I'll take care of you when I make it big," was now in the front seat plotting against me with her brother. "Are you sure?" David asked her again, his tone strangely calm. "Yes," Anna whispered. "She's old, weak, and always sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. If we don't act now, she'll ruin everything for us." My whole body went cold. Me? Ruined their lives? I had sacrificed everything for these two children. I worked 3 jobs when their father died. I skipped meals so they could eat. And now they were calling me a problem? I wanted to burst out right then and confront them, but fear glued me to the seat. My heart pounded so loud I thought they would hear it. I stayed crouched, gripping the gift box, trying to think. After tonight, Anna continued, she won't bother us anymore. Trust me. David didn't argue. He simply started the car and drove off. The ride felt like forever. Every streetlight that passed painted Anna's face with shadows, making her look like a stranger to me. My throat ached with unshed tears. I thought of the cake cooling on the counter, waiting for candles and laughter. Instead, I was listening to my own children plot my end. Finally, David parked the car in a dark, empty lot near the edge of town. My hands shook. Why here? What were they planning? Anna leaned closer to him. We do it here. Nobody will suspect a thing. My heart dropped into my stomach. Do it here? What did that mean? I tried to breathe quietly, but a small gasp escaped my lips. Anna's head whipped around. Did you hear that? She asked sharply. David frowned, listening. The car fell silent. I pressed myself flat against the seat, praying they wouldn't see me. Probably just the wind, David muttered after a moment. He opened the glove compartment and pulled something out. I squinted in the dim light, and when I realized what it was, I almost fainted. It was a rope. Anna smirked. Perfect. Let's finish this. I couldn't stay silent any longer. My whole body screamed at me to speak, to save myself. Slowly, I sat up from the shadows of the back seat. David. Anna. My voice shook. What are you doing? They both froze. Anna's eyes widened in horror, then quickly hardened into anger. David tightened his grip on the rope, his jaw clenched. Mama. David whispered. Yes, I said, clutching the gift box to my chest. It's me. I came to surprise you for your birthday, but instead I hear my own children talking about getting rid of me. The silence was deadly. The only sound was my trembling breath. Anna sneered. You should have stayed out of this, Mama. David didn't speak. His eyes flickered between me and the rope in his hand, and then to my shock he raised the rope slowly, like he was about to use it. David's knuckles tightened around the rope, his face half hidden in the shadow of the car's roof. His eyes, the same brown eyes I used to look into when rocking him to sleep as a baby, now seemed unreadable, like he was caught between two worlds, one where I was his mother, and another where I was his enemy. David. I whispered, my throat dry as sand. Please put that down. It's me, Mama. I raised you. I loved you. Anna rolled her eyes. Don't listen to her, she snapped. She's manipulating you like always. Do it, David. We'll finally be free. Her words cut me deeper than any knife. Free? Free from me? I had spent my entire life giving them freedom. The freedom to study, to eat, to wear clean clothes, to have a home. I worked until my back ached and my hands bled just so they could have chances I never had. And this was my reward? David lowered the rope slightly, his hand trembling. For a second, I thought he might drop it. My heart fluttered with a sliver of hope. But then Anna leaned closer to him and hissed, Don't you dare go soft now. She'll ruin everything. Think about the money. Think about what we planned. Money. That word stung my ears. Suddenly, pieces started to fall into place. I remembered the whispers I had overheard weeks ago when Anna visited the house and made a phone call in the kitchen, thinking I couldn't hear. Something about papers and waiting until it's done. At the time I thought it was work-related. But now, sitting there in that car, I realized my children had been plotting something far darker. Papers? Money. My voice cracked, but I forced the words out. What are you two talking about? Anna's lips curled into a smirk. Oh, Mama. You don't really think we've been waiting around for your tiny pension and those pies you bake, do you? We're talking about the house. The life insurance. Everything you've been holding on to. Once you're gone, it all comes to us. My stomach twisted. The very house their father and I had built with sweat and sacrifice. The insurance I had kept in case something ever happened to me, so they would never suffer. And now, they wanted it sooner. They wanted it now. David still hadn't spoken. His hand trembled as he stared at me, then at Anna. His lips parted, but no words came. David. Anna barked. Do it. That's when something inside me snapped. I wasn't just a helpless old woman. I was their mother. And mothers don't go down without a fight. I sat up straighter, gripping the gift box tightly. David, look at me. I demanded, my voice shaking but strong. Do you remember when you were 8 years old and you broke your leg? Who carried you on her back to the hospital in the pouring rain, because the ambulance never came? Who sat by your bed every night, praying you would heal? His eyes flickered with recognition, but Anna slammed her hand on the dashboard. Stop it, Mama. Enough with the guilt trips. I didn't stop. I pressed harder. And Anna, my sweet girl, when you failed your exams and wanted to give up on school, who stayed up all night tutoring you until you passed? Who told you that you were smart enough, even when you didn't believe it yourself? Anna's jaw tightened, but she didn't answer. Her eyes darted away for just a moment. David's grip on the rope loosened, and for one hopeful second, I thought he might throw it out the window. But then Anna grabbed his wrist, forcing his hand back up. Don't listen to her, she hissed again. She's lying. She doesn't care about us. She only cares about control. Do it, David. Do it now. The air in the car grew suffocating. My chest heaved as I tried to think, to pray, to survive. Then salvation. Headlights. A car pulled into the lot, its beams flooding the interior of our car with sudden light. David froze, rope suspended in midair. Anna cursed under her breath. Relax, she muttered. It's just some car. They won't notice. But they did notice. The other car slowed as if suspicious, then parked a few spaces away. My heart leapt. Maybe this was my chance. Maybe I could scream, bang on the windows, anything. But Anna must have sensed my plan. She twisted around suddenly, her face inches from mine, her eyes blazing. You say one word, Mama, she whispered venomously, and I swear you won't live to regret it. I clamped my lips shut, tears welling in my eyes. I had never seen my daughter look at me like that. It wasn't hate, it was worse. It was cold, hollow, like I was nothing more than an obstacle in her path. The other car's driver, a man in a baseball cap, sat there for a moment, fiddling with his phone. Then, as suddenly as he came, he drove off, his headlights sweeping across our faces before disappearing into the night. The darkness returned. My hope dimmed. Anna turned back to David, her voice urgent. Now. Before anyone else shows up. Do it. David's hand trembled violently. He stared at the rope, then at me. His lips quivered. Finally he spoke, his voice low and cracked. I can't. Anna's face twisted with fury. What do you mean you can't? She's our mother, David whispered. His eyes filled with tears. I can't do this to her. For a moment relief washed over me like a warm wave. Maybe, just maybe, he would protect me. But Anna's rage was like a storm. She lunged across the seat, grabbed the rope from David's hand and turned toward me. Fine, she snarled. If you won't do it, I will. The rope dangled inches from my face, her hands tightening around it. My pulse hammered in my ears. Anna, please. I begged, pressing back against the seat. I'm your mother. I gave you life. Her eyes glowed with a terrifying determination. And now I'm taking it back. With that she lunged. Anna's hand shot forward, the rope stretched tight between them. My heart thundered like a drum, my fingers trembling around the gift box I still clutched. No. David shouted suddenly, grabbing Anna's arm just before the rope reached my throat. The car rocked as the two of them struggled in the front seat, their faces twisted with rage and fear. Let go of me. Anna screamed, thrashing wildly. She has to go, David. Don't you understand? If she lives, we'll never get what we want. David's grip tightened, his voice breaking. She's our mother. I can't let you do this. Tears blurred my vision as I pressed myself against the door, too frozen to move. Part of me wanted to jump out, to run. But another part couldn't stop staring at my children fighting each other like wild animals. The rope slipped from Anna's hands and fell onto the car floor. For a split second I thought it was over. But then Anna's fury boiled over. She slapped David across the face so hard the sound echoed in the small space. You're weak, she spat. Just like her. David touched his cheek, his chest heaving. His eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Eyes filled with conflict, guilt, and something else I couldn't read. "Mama," he whispered. I shook my head quickly. "Please, David. Don't let her do this. You're better than this. Both of you are." But Anna wasn't listening. Her hands darted for the rope again. Her face twisted with determination. That was when instinct took over. For the first time that night, I stopped being silent. I flung the gift box with all my strength, the sharp corner striking Anna across the temple. She gasped, stunned, and the rope slipped from her grasp once more. "Stop this madness," I cried, my voice echoing through the car. "You're my children. My blood. How can you even think of doing this to me?" Anna clutched her head, her eyes blazing with hate. "You'll regret that, Mama," she hissed, her voice low and dangerous. David reached down, snatched up the rope, and hurled it out the window into the dark. His chest rose and fell rapidly as he turned back to his sister. "Enough, Anna. This ends now." But Anna only smiled, a slow, chilling smile that made my stomach churn. She leaned close to David and whispered something I couldn't fully hear, her words slithering through the dark. Whatever she said, his face went pale. Then, before I could ask, Anna slammed her hand on the door handle, shoved it open, and stormed out into the night. The door slammed shut, leaving only silence and the sound of my shaky breathing. But I knew one thing for certain. Anna wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The door slammed shut so hard the whole car shuddered, and Anna's footsteps echoed across the empty lot. I sat frozen in the back seat, my chest heaving, my fingers stiff from clutching the door handle, as if it were the only thing keeping me alive. David didn't move at first. His hands rested on the steering wheel, his eyes staring out into the darkness where Anna had disappeared. The faint sound of her heels striking the pavement grew weaker and weaker until there was only silence. For a long time, neither of us spoke. My heart still pounded from what had just happened, the rope, the fight, Anna's terrifying words. But a part of me clung to David's decision to throw the rope away. Maybe, just maybe, there was still hope for him. Finally, I found my voice. "David," I whispered, my throat raw. "What has happened to my children? To you?" He closed his eyes for a moment, his shoulders sagging as though the weight of the world pressed down on him. "Mama," he said softly, "you don't understand. Things aren't the way they used to be." I leaned forward, tears burning my eyes. "Then help me understand. Please. How could you sit there and let your sister talk about killing me?" His jaw tightened, but his eyes flickered with shame. "I didn't want it to go that far. Isuar, Mama. I didn't plan for that. Anna, she's been pushing me. She says we're trapped, that we'll never get ahead as long as we're tied to you." I gasped, hurt slicing through me. "Tied to me? David, I gave you life. I gave you everything I had. You think I'm holding you back?" He didn't answer right away. His silence was worse than any words. The parking lot felt colder, darker. My thoughts spun wildly about the house, the insurance, the sacrifices I had made. Could it be true? Did my children see me not as their mother, but as a burden standing between them and a better life? I pressed a trembling hand to my chest. "David, when your father died, I promised I'd keep this family together. I worked my fingers to the bone so you and Anna would never go hungry. And now you talk about me like I'm some kind of obstacle." He winced, his head bowing. "It wasn't supposed to be like this, Mama. Anna said if we handled things, we could finally breathe. We could sell the house, split the money, and start fresh. She made it sound so easy." I shook my head, disbelief crashing over me. "Start fresh? By murdering your own mother?" His eyes filled with tears, his voice breaking. "I didn't want to. I swear it. When she gave me that rope, I froze. I couldn't do it. You raised us. You loved us. I couldn't." His words trailed off into sobs. For a moment, I almost reached forward to comfort him, the way I used to when he was a boy, and scraped his knees. But then I remembered the feel of the rope inches from my throat, the sound of Anna hissing. "She won't be a problem much longer." I swallowed hard. "David, listen to me. If Anna has gone this far, she won't stop. She'll try again. She's poisoned your mind with her greed, and now she wants to drag you down with her. But you're not lost, son. You can still choose differently. You can still do the right thing. He wiped his eyes, his voice hoarse. And what's that, Mama? What's the right thing? I leaned forward, gripping the back of his seat. Stand with me. Tell the truth. Whatever plans Anna has made, we stop them together. Do you hear me? Together. His lips parted, his eyes searching mine in the rearview mirror. For a flicker of a moment, I saw the boy I once knew. The boy who used to bring me wildflowers and say, "These are for you, Mama, because you're the best." But before he could answer, a sound shattered the fragile silence. A sharp knock on the window. I jumped, my heart leaping into my throat. David spun around, his eyes wide. There, outside the car, stood Anna. Her face was shadowed, but the glint of something metallic in her hand caught the faint light of a street lamp. It wasn't the rope. It was a knife. My blood turned to ice. She leaned down, her eyes meeting mine through the glass. Her smile was slow, deliberate, terrifying. Then she tapped the blade against the window with a steady rhythm. Tap, 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 as if she had all the time in the world. David's face drained of color. "Anna, no," he whispered. But Anna's voice cut through the glass like steel. "Open the door, David. Now." I pressed my hands against the back of his seat. "Don't you dare," I begged. "If you love me at all, don't let her in." David's hands shook on the steering wheel. His breathing quickened, trapped between his sister's command and his mother's plea. Anna's tapping grew harder, faster, more impatient. Finally, she raised the knife and dragged it slowly across the window, leaving a thin white scratch on the glass. The screeching sound made my skin crawl. "You have 3 seconds, David," she hissed. "Open this door, or I swear I'll break it open myself." 1. David's whole body shook. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His eyes darted to mine, desperate, lost. 2. My heart hammered so violently I thought it might burst. I whispered, "David, please. Choose me. Choose life. Don't let her destroy us." 3. Before Anna could finish, David reached for the lock. And in that single moment, I realized my fate balanced on the tip of his trembling hand. David's fingers hovered over the lock, sweat dripping down his temple. My breath caught, every second stretching into forever. "David, don't," I whispered fiercely. "If you open that door, you're letting the devil into this car." Anna's voice cut through the glass, low and venomous. "Open it, David. You're either with me, or against me." His hand shook violently. His eyes darted between me and the back seat, and Anna outside with the knife. His lips trembled. I don't know what to do," he muttered. "Yes, you do," I pressed, leaning forward, my hands clutching the back of his seat. "You know what's right. You know who's always been there for you. Look at me, David. I'm your mother." But Anna slammed the knife harder against the window. The sharp clang made us both jump. "Enough of this," she hissed. "Open it, David, or I swear I'll cut her myself the second I get in." The tension snapped something inside me. For the first time, anger rose hotter than fear. My whole life I had carried these two through hunger, through sickness, through loneliness. And now my own daughter wanted me dead? No, not without a fight. "David," I said firmly, my voice steady, "if you open that door you won't just lose me. You'll lose yourself. Forever." His chest heaved. His hand hovered a second longer. Then with a cry, he yanked his hand back and slammed the lock button down. "No, Anna," he shouted through the glass. "I can't do this. Not to her." Anna's face twisted into pure rage. She raised the knife high and slammed it against the window. The blade screeched, sparks flying as it scraped the glass. My scream tore through the car as cracks spiderwebbed across the pane. "David!" I cried. He slammed the car into reverse, tires screeching against the pavement. The sudden jolt threw me back into the seat as the car lurched out of the lot. Anna's furious scream echoed behind us. She pounded the knife against the air, her figure growing smaller in the rearview mirror as David sped into the night. For a moment, only the roar of the engine and my pounding heartbeat filled the car. I pressed my hands against my chest, struggling to breathe. David's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. His voice cracked. "Mama, what have we done?" I stared at him, my body trembling. "What she tried to do, David. And she's not going to stop. You need to decide once and for all whose side you're on." But deep down, even as the streetlights rushed past us, I knew Anna wasn't finished. She would come back, stronger, angrier, and more dangerous than ever. The road blurred past us in streaks of yellow light as David pushed the car faster and faster, his jaw clenched, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. I sat pressed against the back seat, my heart still hammering from the sight of Anna's knife scraping across the glass. For a while neither of us spoke. The silence was heavy, filled only with the whine of the tires and the pounding in my chest. Finally I forced myself to find my voice. "David," I said quietly, "you saved my life tonight." He didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed fixed on the road, dark circles of shame beneath them. When he did speak, his voice cracked. "Mama, I almost didn't. I almost opened that door." Tears welled in my eyes. "But you didn't. That's what matters." His breath shuddered. "Anna, she's not going to forgive me for this. You saw her face. She'll come after us." I swallowed hard. The thought of my daughter, my own flesh and blood, hunting me like prey made my skin crawl. But I couldn't deny it. He was right. "We'll have to be careful," I whispered. "Very careful." David finally glanced at me in the rearview mirror. His eyes were red, watery. "Mama, I don't deserve your forgiveness. I let her talk me into this madness. I should have stopped her from the start." I leaned forward, my voice firm. "David, you still have a choice. You can let her drag you down, or you can stand with me. Right here. Right now." He gripped the wheel tighter, his silence stretching, then finally nodded. "I'm with you, Mama. Whatever happens, I'll protect you." For the first time that night, a flicker of hope warmed me. But it was fragile, like a candle in a storm. We drove for miles, leaving the city lights behind, winding into quieter streets lined with sleeping houses. Eventually, David pulled into a small diner's parking lot, its neon sign buzzing faintly in the night. "We should stop," he said. "Clear our heads. Figure out what to do next." I hesitated, scanning the shadows nervously. Every corner seemed alive with Anna's ghost. But my body ached, and my throat burned for water. Slowly I nodded. Inside, the diner was nearly empty. Just a tired waitress refilling salt shakers, and a truck driver slumped over coffee. David slid into a booth, and I sat across from him. When the waitress brought water, I sipped it with trembling hands, trying to calm myself. David rubbed his temples, his face pale. "Mama," he whispered, "Anna's been talking about this for weeks. She said the house was worth a fortune, that the insurance policy would change everything. I kept telling her to wait, that it wasn't right. But she wouldn't stop. She said we'd never get anywhere as long as we were chained to you." I flinched. "Chained." He winced. "Those were her words, not mine. I swear it." The words cut me deep, but I forced myself to stay calm. "David, listen to me. Money will never fill the emptiness in her heart. Greed destroys people. And if you let her pull you back in, it will destroy you too." He dropped his head into his hands. "I know. But Mama, she's my sister. How do I fight my own sister?" My throat tightened. "The same way you almost fought me tonight, with a rope in your hand. Except this time you fight to protect, not to destroy." His eyes lifted slowly, and I saw the conflict raging inside him. Before I could say more, the diner's bell jingled. I turned my head, and my blood froze. Anna. She stood in the doorway, her hair wild, her eyes blazing. She wasn't holding the knife anymore, but the look in her eyes was sharper than any blade. "Found you," she hissed, her voice carrying across the room like venom. David shot up from his seat, knocking over his glass. "Anna, stop," he shouted. The truck driver stirred, confused, but Anna ignored everyone else. Her gaze locked onto me. "You think you can run from me, Mama? You think you can turn David against me?" I pressed back into the booth, my chest heaving. "Anna, please, this has gone too far." Her laugh was hollow, chilling. "Too far? Oh, Mama, we're just getting started." She reached into her coat pocket. For a terrifying second, I thought it was the knife again. But when her hand came out, she was holding something worse, papers. She slammed them onto the table in front of me, her hands shaking with rage. "You see this? This is the deed to your house. And this," she pulled another sheet out, jabbing her finger at it. "This is the policy. All it takes is your signature, Mama. Then everything is mine. Ours." David's face twisted. Anna, where did you get those? She smirked. I've had them for weeks. I just needed the right moment. I stared at the papers, my heart pounding. The very things I had worked for, the home I had built, the security I had saved, now lying on the diner table like bait in a trap. I'll never sign those, I said firmly, my voice trembling but strong. Anna's smile faded into a sneer. Then maybe I'll just take them another way. Her hand dipped into her pocket again, slower this time, deliberate. The waitress gasped, backing away. The truck driver muttered something and scrambled toward the door. My hands clutched the edge of the booth, every muscle in my body screaming with fear. When Anna's hand emerged, it wasn't a knife. It was a gun. The black barrel gleamed under the diner's buzzing neon light as she pointed it straight at me. Sign the papers, Mama, she said coldly, her finger resting on the trigger. Or this ends tonight. The diner froze. The waitress dropped the salt shaker she'd been holding, and it shattered on the floor. The truck driver was already halfway out the door, his footsteps echoing into the night. But Anna didn't flinch. Her eyes locked on mine, cold and wild, her finger twitching dangerously close to the trigger. Sign the papers, Mama, she hissed, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. Sign them, or I swear you'll never leave this diner alive. My throat tightened, but I forced myself to meet her gaze. Anna, listen to yourself. You're pointing a gun at your own mother. At the woman who gave you life. She sneered. You gave me nothing but chains. Do you know how it feels to be stuck, to watch everyone else get ahead while we're scraping by? You could have sold that house years ago. But no, you had to cling to the past, to your stupid pride. Well, I'm done waiting. Anna, stop. David stepped between us, his hands raised. Put the gun down. This isn't the way. Her eyes flicked to him, burning with betrayal. Move, David. If you're not with me, you're against me. He shook his head, tears shining in his eyes. I can't let you do this. Not to Mama. The tension snapped like a wire pulled too tight. Anna's hands shook violently, and for a terrifying second, I thought the gun would go off by accident. My breath caught, my body frozen. Anna, I whispered, forcing my voice calm. Look at me. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the money. All I care about is you and your brother. Nothing is worth this. Nothing. For the briefest moment I saw her facade crack. Her eyes glistened, her lips trembled, but then her face hardened again. No more games, she spat. You're signing those papers, Mama. Tonight. She shoved the papers across the table, the gun still aimed at my chest. The edges of the deed fluttered under the buzzing neon light. David's voice broke. Anna, please. Don't do this. But she didn't look at him. She only stared at me, her finger pressing tighter against the trigger. My hands trembled as I reached slowly for the papers, not to sign them but to buy myself a moment. My mind raced, searching desperately for a way out. Then, just as my fingers touched the edge of the paper, the diner door banged open. Police! Drop the weapon! 2 officers stormed inside, guns raised. Red and blue lights flashed through the glass windows, painting the walls in streaks of color. Anna spun around, the gun still in her hand, and in that split second everything hung by a thread. The diner's neon lights flickered red and blue as the officers surged inside, weapons raised, their voices thunderous and commanding. Police! Drop the gun! Drop it now! For a heartbeat, time seemed to freeze. Anna stood at the center of it all, her chest heaving, the black barrel of the pistol glinting beneath the flashing lights. Her eyes darted wildly between me, David, and the officers, panic rising like a storm in her veins. I could see her unraveling. No, she screamed, her voice trembling yet defiant. Nobody tells me what to do. Not anymore. Her hands shook violently, the gun swaying as she jerked her head toward the officers. Stay back. If you come any closer, she dies. She thrust the weapon toward me, and the blood drained from my face. The taller of the 2 officers, his voice firm but calm, took a careful step forward. Ma'am, put the gun down. We don't want anyone to get hurt tonight. Let's talk this through. But Anna's laugh was high and broken, more a cry of rage than humor. Talk? Talk? Nobody's ever listened to me. Not Mama, not David, not anyone. Her hands gripped the gun tighter, her knuckles white as bone. Anna! David's voice cracked, his body trembling. He took a step toward her. Desperation etched in every line of his face. Listen to me. You don't have to do this. Please put the gun down. Her eyes snapped to him, blazing with fury and betrayal. Shut up, David. You were supposed to stand with me, but you chose her instead. You chose her. Her words hit him like bullets. His shoulders sagged, tears streaming down his face. You're my sister, Anna. I love you. That's why I can't let you do this. Love. Her voice dripped with venom. If you loved me, you'd help me get what we deserve. I could hardly breathe. My hands were clenched together on the table, praying silently, begging God to guide my words. Slowly, carefully, I leaned forward. Anna, I whispered, my voice trembling but steady. Baby girl, look at me. I know you're hurting. I know you feel trapped, like life has cheated you. But pointing that gun at your mother won't fix the pain. It will only break what little we still have left. Her eyes flickered, her mask cracking for the briefest moment. I saw the little girl she used to be, the one who used to climb into my lap and beg for bedtime stories, the one who laughed when I baked cookies too dark and called them midnight treats. But then her face hardened again. The little girl buried beneath years of bitterness. Don't you dare try to guilt me, Mama, she spat, though her voice quavered. This is the only way. The officers edged closer, their hands steady, their voices calm but commanding. Ma'am, put it down. Right now. We can work this out, but you need to lower the gun. Anna whipped toward them, the pistol jerking in her hands. I said stay back. The tension stretched so tight it felt like the whole diner would snap in two. My heart thundered, my body frozen with fear. Every movement, every breath could decide whether we lived or died. David's chest heaved. Slowly, deliberately, he stepped closer, his hand still raised. Anna, he whispered, his voice breaking. If you want to shoot someone, shoot me. Not Mama. Not her. I was the one who betrayed you. Her head snapped toward him, eyes wide, tears brimming. Don't say that. It's true, he said, his voice shaking. I followed you. I let you drag me into this. I almost did it. But I couldn't, Anna. Because deep down I know this isn't you. You're not a killer. Anna's hands trembled violently, the gun lowering a fraction, then jerking back up again. I don't know who I am anymore, she cried, her voice breaking into sobs. I don't know what I want except for this pain to stop. For a split second, hope flickered in my chest. She was unraveling, yes, but she was also breaking open, the truth spilling out of her wounds. Baby, give me the gun, I whispered gently, my hands outstretched across the table. Let me take it. You don't have to carry this anymore. You don't have to be alone. Her breath came in ragged gasps. The gun dipped lower, shaking in her grip. The officers exchanged a glance, their fingers tightening on their triggers, ready but waiting. Then, bang! The sound exploded like thunder, deafening, shattering. Screams ripped through the diner. My ears rang as my body jolted, and I collapsed against the booth. For a moment, I couldn't tell if I'd been shot. Smoke curled faintly in the air, the acrid smell of gunpowder burning my nose. Anna stood frozen, the gun still in her hands, her face pale as chalk, her eyes wide with shock. David staggered backward, clutching his side, blood seeping through his shirt. He collapsed onto the floor with a strangled cry. David! I screamed, my voice raw and desperate. I scrambled toward him, my hands shaking as I pressed against the wound, blood soaking my palms. Anna dropped the gun. It clattered loudly against the linoleum, spinning to a stop. She backed away, her mouth open in a silent scream, tears streaming down her face. I didn't mean, David, I didn't mean to, she sobbed, her body shaking violently. The officer surged forward, one pinning her arms behind her, the other kicking the gun away. She didn't resist, her body limp with horror, her eyes fixed on her brother lying in a pool of blood. David's face was pale, his breath shallow, his eyes fluttering. Mama, he whispered weakly. I tried. Shua, don't talk, baby, I begged, pressing harder on the wound, my tears falling onto his shirt. Stay with me. Please stay with me. The officers shouted for an ambulance, their radios crackling with urgent voices. The waitress sobbed in the corner, her hands covering her mouth. Anna was dragged toward the door, her cries piercing the night. David! No. Please no. I held my son in my arms, my heart breaking, my body trembling as the sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder, closer. But in that moment, all I could think was this. One child was bleeding out in my arms. The other was being dragged away in chains. And I was powerless to stop any of it. The ambulance wailed through the night, its red lights painting the city in streaks of blood. I sat inside, clutching David's hand, my palms still sticky with his blood. His face was pale, his breath shallow, each one sounding like it could be his last. Stay with me, baby, I whispered, rocking him as if he were still that little boy who used to curl against me after nightmares. Don't you dare leave me, not like this. The paramedic pressed gauze against his wound, shouting numbers I couldn't understand, his voice firm but urgent. We're losing him, BP dropping fast. Keep pressure. I pressed harder, tears streaming down my face. Please God, don't take him. Not like this. At the hospital, they wheeled him away before I could kiss his forehead. The doors swung closed, and I was left alone in the hallway, my hands trembling, his blood still on me. Minutes felt like hours. Every tick of the clock was a hammer against my heart. I prayed, begged, bargained with heaven. Then a doctor rushed out, his face grave. Are you his mother? Yes. My voice cracked. He hesitated, his eyes heavy with what he was about to say. He's in surgery now, but it's critical. We don't know if he'll make it through the night. My knees buckled. I clutched the wall for support, the world spinning. And then, from the corner of the hallway, I heard a familiar voice. You shouldn't be here. I turned slowly and my blood ran cold. Anna. She stood there, out of custody, her eyes red and wild, staring straight at me. I froze. My legs wouldn't move, my lungs refused to work. The hallway was buzzing with activity. Nurses rushing, machines beeping, voices calling codes, but all of it faded into a distant hum when I saw her. Anna. My daughter. Standing in the very place she should never have been, outside the surgical ward, free, staring at me with those wild, unblinking eyes. I blinked, hoping I was imagining her, that maybe my exhaustion, my grief, had conjured up a ghost. But no, she was real. Her chest rose and fell with sharp breaths, her fists clenched at her sides. My voice cracked. Anna? How did you get out? She tilted her head, a strange smile tugging at her lips. Copsare Falls. Mama. You should know that by now. They thought handcuffs could hold me. Thought I was broken. Her eyes darkened. But I'm not broken. Not yet. My knees nearly gave out. Anna. No. Please don't do this. Your brother is fighting for his life in there. Isn't that enough? For the briefest moment, her lips trembled, and I saw the tears she'd shed earlier, when the gun had gone off. But just as quickly, she masked it with bitterness. He took your love from me, she spat. Even when I was ready to give you everything, you still chose him. You always chose him. That's not true. My voice rose, trembling. I never chose one of you over the other. You're both my children. Her laugh was hollow, sharp, echoing down the sterile hallway. Then why do I feel like the shadow? Why do I feel like the mistake? Because you've let hate blind you, I whispered. You're lost in it, Anna. But you can still find your way back. Baby girl, it's not too late. Her eyes narrowed. Don't call me that. Don't act like you care now. If you cared, you'd sign those papers. You'd give me what I asked for. I shook my head. Tears burning hot trails down my cheeks. No amount of money or property will heal you. Anna, you're chasing emptiness. It won't fill the hole inside. Her breathing quickened, her gaze flicking toward the operating room doors. If David dies, she whispered, her voice trembling with rage, that blood is on you, Mama. Not me. I took a cautious step closer, my hands outstretched, begging without words. Please, Anna. Don't make this worse. Don't add more pain to what's already broken. She hesitated, her eyes flickering with conflict. And then a nurse turned the corner holding a chart. She froze at the sight of Anna, recognition flashing in her eyes. Wait, weren't you just? Before she could finish, Anna lunged forward, yanking something from her coat pocket. My heart stopped. It wasn't a gun this time. It was a scalpel. Small. Silver. Razor sharp. The nurse screamed, stumbling backward. Alarms seemed to echo in my skull, though they weren't yet real. My body moved before my brain could think. I threw myself between Anna and the nurse. "Anna, stop!" I cried, my arms wide. "Don't do this." Her hand shook, the scalpel glittering beneath the fluorescent lights. "I'll do whatever it takes," she hissed. "I won't be ignored anymore." "Hurting more people won't make you seen," I pleaded. "It will only bury you deeper." Behind us, doors slammed open, and I heard voices, security guards shouting, rushing closer. Anna's eyes widened. She realized her time was running out. Her hand twitched, the blade trembling in the air. David's face flashed in my mind, pale and fragile on that hospital bed. My daughter stood in front of me, her rage and grief boiling over, her hand raised with a weapon. And I knew in that instant that everything would change depending on what she did next. She let out a scream, raw, broken, full of years of pain, and swung her arm down. The scalpel slashed through the air. I felt it cut. But whether it was me, or the nurse, or herself, I didn't know yet. The scalpel sliced downward, silver flashing under the hospital lights. I gasped, bracing for pain. Yet it wasn't me. The nurse screamed as the blade grazed her arm, leaving a thin red line. She staggered backward, clutching her wound, eyes wide with terror. "Help! Security!" she cried, her voice echoing down the hall. Anna's face twisted in horror. For a split second I thought she regretted it, but then her fury returned. "I didn't mean her," she shouted, her chest heaving. "I meant you, Mama." Before she could swing again, two security guards rushed forward. One grabbed her wrist, twisting hard until the scalpel clattered to the floor. The other pinned her arms, locking them behind her back. She thrashed and kicked, her scream piercing the hallway. "Let me go. She deserves this. She ruined everything." Her voice cracked, breaking into sobs, but her body kept fighting, wild and desperate. I pressed myself against the wall, shaking from head to toe. The nurse was hurried away by another staff member, her arm bleeding but not deep enough to be life-threatening. Relief washed over me, but it was drowned quickly by grief. Anna's eyes locked on me as the guards dragged her back. Tears streamed down her face, her voice trembling. "You'll never understand me, Mama. Never." I reached out a trembling hand, my throat raw. "Anna, please, don't do this to yourself. I still love you. I'll always love you." Her expression flickered. Pain, anger, longing, but then it hardened again. She spat at the floor and jerked her head away. The guards shoved her down the hall, their radios crackling, their voices sharp with authority. Her screams echoed until they vanished behind heavy doors. I collapsed onto a chair, my body trembling, my hands still stained with David's blood. Between one child fighting for his life in surgery, and the other being dragged away in chains, my soul felt torn in two. And then, just as I buried my face in my hands, the operating room doors swung open. A surgeon stepped out, his mask pulled down, his expression unreadable. "Are you his mother?" he asked softly. My heart stopped. "Yes," I whispered, barely able to speak. The doctor sighed, his eyes heavy. "We did everything we could. But..." His words hung in the air like a knife about to fall. The surgeon's words dangled in the air like a blade ready to cut my world in two. "We did everything we could," he repeated, his voice low, solemn. His eyes, tired and full of sympathy, seemed to prepare me for the worst. My chest tightened. My legs felt like sand beneath me. I gripped the edge of the chair so hard my knuckles turned white. "Doctor," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Please, please don't tell me I've lost my boy." For a moment he said nothing. He simply stared at me, the weight of his silence crushing my chest. Then finally, "He survived." The words came like a flood. My knees buckled, and I fell against the chair, sobbing with relief. Tears poured down my face so fast I could hardly breathe. "He's alive," I gasped. "Oh, thank God. Thank you, Lord, thank you." The surgeon nodded, though his expression was still grave. "He made it through surgery, but he lost a lot of blood. He's stable for now, but the next 48 hours are critical. If there are no complications, he has a real chance." I pressed my shaking hands to my chest. Relief battled with fear. Hope battled with dread. But at least he was still with me. My son still had a chance. Can I see him? I begged. Not yet, the doctor said gently. He's still under anesthesia. But soon. I nodded, unable to stop the tears. My whole body trembled, as if the storm that had raged inside me all night was finally breaking into rain. When the doctor walked away, I sank to my knees in the hallway, whispering prayers of gratitude. Thank you, Lord, thank you for sparing him. Please don't take him from me. Please. But even as I prayed, a shadow loomed in the back of my mind. Anna. Her screams as the guards dragged her away still rang in my ears. Her face, wild, broken, desperate, haunted me. Even locked away, her presence filled every corner of the hospital like smoke after a fire. And worse, I knew her. I knew her cunning, her determination. If she'd escaped custody once, what was stopping her from doing it again? My heart twisted. One child lying in a hospital bed, fighting for his life. The other locked in chains, consumed by rage and pain. And me, caught in the middle, torn apart by love and betrayal. Hours passed like years. I sat in the waiting room, bloodstains still drying on my clothes, refusing to leave. Every time the doors opened, I jumped, hoping it was news of David. At last a nurse appeared. Ma'am, she said kindly, you can see him now. But only for a few minutes. I rose on unsteady legs and followed her into the recovery room. There he was. My son. David lay motionless, pale as the sheets beneath him, tubes and wires snaking around his body. Machines beeped steadily beside him, a cruel reminder of how fragile his life still was. I crept to his bedside, my hands trembling as I brushed the damp hair from his forehead. Oh, my baby, I whispered, tears blurring my vision. You scared me half to death. His chest rose and fell shallowly, but it was enough. He was alive. I pulled a chair close and clasped his limp hand in mine. You're going to make it, I whispered fiercely. Do you hear me, David? You're going to live. And when you wake up, I'll be right here. I pressed my forehead against his hand, sobbing quietly, pouring all my love into that fragile connection. For a moment I allowed myself to hope. But then, the lights flickered. I frowned, glancing up. The machines beeped normally, but Anna's eyes gleamed in the dim hospital light, her body trembling as she stood in the corner. The faint hum of the machines filled the silence between us. Every beep a reminder of David's fragile heartbeat. Her hand lingered in her coat pocket, and though I couldn't see what she held, I knew. My stomach twisted, bile rising in my throat. Anna, I whispered, trying to steady my shaking voice. Don't do this. Please. Her lips trembled, her eyes glistening with tears. I didn't come here to hurt him, she said softly, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. I came because I can't stand it anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I see him falling, bleeding, because of me. I hear his voice. I feel the gun in my hand. I didn't mean to, Mama. I didn't mean it. Tears streamed down her face, but her grip inside her pocket tightened. I took a cautious step forward, my body shielding David. Then prove it, baby girl. Put whatever's in your hand down. Show me you don't mean it. Her eyes flickered, torn between rage and regret. She pulled her hand free and revealed a small vial, filled with a dark liquid. My heart dropped. What is that? I asked, my voice breaking. She clutched it close to her chest. It's easier this way. No more pain. No more shame. If he doesn't make it, then neither will I. And if he does, maybe you'll finally remember me when I'm gone. No. I cried, rushing forward. Anna, please don't. She stepped back, shaking her head violently, her tears falling faster. Don't try to stop me, Mama. You've stopped me all my life. Not this time. David stirred faintly, a low groan escaping his lips. The sound froze Anna where she stood. Her eyes widened, her whole body trembling as she turned toward him. Mama, David whispered weakly, barelai conscious. Anna dropped to her knees beside the bed, the vial still clutched in her hand. Her sobs broke through the sterile silence of the room. I'm sorry, David, she whispered hoarsely. I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear I didn't. I just wanted us to have something better. But I ruined it all. His eyelids fluttered, but he didn't respond. I crouched too, my hand resting lightly on her shaking shoulder. Then don't ruin what's left, Anna. You still have a choice. You can choose life for him, for you, for us. Please, baby girl. Don't throw it away. Her grip on the vial wavered. For a fleeting moment, I saw her crumble, the weight of her guilt pressing down, breaking through her anger. But then footsteps echoed in the hall. Heavy, fussed voices. She's in here. Anna's head snapped up, panic flashing in her eyes. Her hand clenched the vial tighter. No, she whispered, shaking her head. They'll lock me away. Forever. I won't let them. Anna, don't. I begged, reaching for her. The door burst open. Officers stormed in, their voices commanding, their footsteps pounding against the tile. Anna screamed, uncapping the vial. And in one swift motion, she lifted it toward her lips. Anna's hand trembled as she lifted the uncapped vial toward her lips. The officers froze at the door, their weapons lowered but ready. Time seemed to stand still, every second stretching like an eternity. My heart thundered so loud I could barely hear my own thoughts. Anna! I screamed, lurching forward. Stop! Please, baby girl. Her eyes flickered to me, broken and wild, and for a moment, I saw my daughter again, not the woman consumed by bitterness, but the child I once held in my arms, the little girl who used to cling to my apron while I cooked. But the moment was fragile, fleeting, like glass on the edge of shattering. Don't come closer, Mama, she cried, her voice cracking. I can't do it anymore. I can't live like this. Not after everything I've done. I see his face every time I close my eyes. I see yours. You'll never forgive me. You'll never love me again. Her hand shook violently, the vial sloshing in her grip. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Anna, listen to me. I have always loved you. Always. You think this will fix it? No. This will only leave more pain, more broken pieces. If you do this, you'll take away the chance of healing. You'll take away the chance of forgiveness. Her lips trembled. But you'll never forgive me. Not for this. I crawled closer, my knees aching against the cold floor. Look at me, Anna. Do I look like a woman who could ever stop loving her child? You're my daughter. My blood. My baby girl. Yes, you've hurt me. Yes, you've hurt your brother. But nothing you could ever do will make me stop loving you. You hear me? Nothing. Her chest rose and fell sharply, her tears dripping onto the floor. Her gaze flicked to David's pale body, then back to me. Then why does it feel like you've always chosen him over me? The words hit me like knives. I opened my mouth but nothing came out. She wasn't wrong, not entirely. I had given David more of my patience, more of my protection, because he was weaker, more fragile. But in doing so, I hadn't seen the cracks forming in Anna's heart. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice steady. Because I failed you, Anna. I thought I was protecting him, but I should have been protecting both of you. I see that now. And I'm so sorry. I can't change the past, but I can fight for our future. Please, don't take that away from me. Her grip loosened slightly, her arm wavering. One of the officers edged forward. Ma'am, step back. Let us handle this. Don't. I snapped, my voice sharp with desperation. If you rush her, she'll do it. Anna's eyes darted between me and the officers. Panic surged in her trembling body. Mama, she whispered, her voice raw. Tell me the truth. Can you really forgive me? After what I did. After what I almost took from you. I crawled even closer, my hand reaching out slowly. Yes. I forgive you. Not because what you did was right, but because you're my daughter. And love doesn't die, Anna. Love keeps fighting. Even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. For a heartbeat, silence filled the room. Only the beeping of David's monitor broke it. Then, Anna's hand collapsed against her chest, the vial slipping from her grip and clattering to the floor. The liquid spilled across the tiles, dark and sharp-smelling. She buried her face in her hands and sobbed like a child. I surged forward, wrapping my arms around her shaking body. It's okay, baby girl. You're safe now. You're safe. The officers rushed in, cuffing her wrists gently this time, though she didn't resist. She leaned against me, her tears soaking into my blood-stained blouse. As they led her away, She looked back one last time, her eyes pleading. Mama, don't forget me. I won't, I whispered, my voice breaking. I never will. And then she was gone. I collapsed beside David's bed, clutching his limp hand as fresh sobs shook my body. My children, one fighting for his life, the other fighting demons I had never truly seen. The weight of it all pressed down on me, but I refused to let it crush me. Hours later, the hospital quieted. The chaos faded into hushed footsteps and distant beeps. I sat by David's side, exhaustion weighing heavy on me, but I wouldn't close my eyes. And then, his fingers twitched. I gasped, leaning closer. David? Baby, can you hear me? His eyelids fluttered, then opened slightly. His gaze, unfocused and weak, landed on me. Mama? His voice was faint, barely a whisper. I kissed his hand, my tears falling freely. Yes, baby. I'm here. I'm right here. A weak smile tugged at his lips. You didn't leave. Never, I whispered fiercely. I'll never leave you. His eyes closed again, but this time with the peace of sleep, not the edge of death. I laid my head on his arm, relief washing over me. He was alive. He had a chance. And so did Anna. If the courts and doctors gave her the help she needed, the road ahead would be long, painful, uncertain. But for the first time in what felt like forever, hope flickered in the darkness. The next morning, as sunlight streamed through the hospital window, I looked out at the brightening sky and whispered a promise to myself, to God, and to my children. I would not give up. Not on David. Not on Anna. Not on the family we could still be, broken as we were. Because if this nightmare had taught me anything, it was this. Love is not always easy. It is not always neat, or gentle, or fair. But real love, the kind that binds mother to child, endures even through the darkest storms. And that was the life lesson I wanted to leave you with, my dear listeners. No matter how broken your family may feel, don't stop fighting for them. Don't stop loving them. Because love is the only thing that can heal what hate has torn apart. So if you're watching this right now, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, who in your life do you need to forgive? Who do you need to reach out to before it's too late? Don't wait until tragedy forces your hand. Choose love now. Choose healing now. And with that, I thank you for joining me through this painful but powerful journey. My name is Margaret. I'm 72 years old, and I've shared my heart with you tonight from Atlanta, Georgia. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss the next story I'll share. And please let me know in the comments, from which part of the country are you watching? I love to know where my family of listeners are tuning in from. Until next time, remember, love is stronger than hate. And family, no matter how broken, is still family. Good night.